Greetings, family, and welcome to this space. If you've been here before, you've seen me. My name is Shola Cargill. If you haven't, welcome. My name is Shola Cargill. I am one of the co-facilitators of the Rich in Wellness workshops. As you see, I am not here with my lovely co-facilitator, Rodia Paul, but I'm still here to provide you with some amazing, valuable, and helpful insights into ways to increase wellness. And the topic for this Wednesday is actually going to be financial and work wellness. Now, I know as soon as I say the word finances, everybody thinks about money. Everybody thinks about, how to make that money. That's what the job is for. That's what work is for. But I want to see it a little bit deeper because it's actually pretty complex. So financial wellness, what is financial wellness? So that's having a healthy knowledge base, a healthy balance between your income and your expenses. So being able to have healthy financial decision-making skills as well as healthy financial spending skills. Now, of course, that means being able, again, to balance the income versus the expenses. Okay, that's one part of it. Very basic. Work wellness, right? How do I actually make this money? Well, that goes into having work wellness. Work wellness is another balance component of work and life. So, how well do you balance your work responsibilities as well as your life responsibilities? In terms of work specifically, what do you do to create a healthy work environment? Are you in a healthy work environment? Do you even have the power to create that? The question is yes. Well, the answer, is yes. But again, we'll get into more of what that could look like. So again, in terms of this connection between financial and work wellness, they actually play hand in hand. In a lot of ways, being able to go to work and be productive, that increases your satisfaction when you get paid, right? And even on the other side of the spectrum, if there are times where you go to work and you aren't performing at your best, there still is some level of satisfaction that comes with being rewarded for your efforts, despite what they look like. Now, ultimately, we want to continue to advocate for self-care, healing, health, wellness. So ultimately, the idea is to get to a point where your productivity reflects your dollar, where you feel like your productivity reflects your dollar. And one thing that can help with that is learning to, again, strike that balance between work and life responsibilities. So how productive are you outside of work versus how productive are you while you're at work? Are you able to manage the different responsibilities that your workday requires? And are you also able to manage the things that are there for you at home when you get there? So what does that look like? And honestly, for a lot of people, especially now, I know that it can seem difficult to strike a balance between work and life. Understanding that it is still possible is definitely key here. And that goes into changing your mindset and your perception about things. But I won't get into that just yet. Honestly, the purpose of today and the purpose of this workshop is to help you shift from the narrative of just surviving to thriving. That is surviving in terms of finances and in terms of your work, to now getting into a realm of thriving in finances and thriving at your workplace. And the difference between surviving and thriving, I'm sure you can imagine that they're stark. And at the same coin, there's a very small line or a short line that distinguishes the two. In a lot of ways, we think that we may be thriving because our productivity is up and we're doing everything that we have to do. Are we doing that because there is some sort of fear of financial security? Are we doing that because there's some sort of uncertainty around being able to maintain that level of income and that level of financial standing? If you answered yes to those questions, then I would definitely encourage you to pay more attention and to take a deeper look into what it means to survive versus thrive for you. And again, I want to make sure that we're highlighting that this is a unique instance that is just for you. Some people may thrive using different tools, while others may not take to those same tools. Nonetheless, the goal is still to get to a point of thriving. So, some general basic signs that you're surviving and not thriving could be: 1, worrying about that next payment, worrying about when that paycheck is going to come, checking your mailbox often if you still get mail checks, checking your account if you get direct deposits, looking at the calendar to see if it's the 1st yet, if it's the 15th, really being over interested in things pertaining to when the payment is going to come. And honestly, that over interest or that over compensation that is being engaged in order to ensure that that money is coming in some point in time, that creates this feeling and this behavior of ruminating. And so it goes from worrying and just checking and making sure and being a little bit compulsive about that to now ruminating, to now being able to completely disconnect from that thought. You're now in this cycle of consistently thinking about: where is it going? When is it coming? What am I going to do with it? Am I going to have enough for the next month and that month and that month and that month? I mean, if you know, you know, okay? So another part of that process and another sign that you're surviving and not thriving could be extreme budgeting. Planners and organizers, I'm talking to you. I know. Planning makes you feel comfortable. It makes you feel more secure. Me too. Nothing wrong. I have a list right here of things that I need to do. It helps organize, right? Is there such thing as extreme planning and extreme organizing and extreme budgeting? Possibly. So it's one thing to create a very basic, or it could be detailed, sheet of your finances, right? It's one thing to have all of your money laid out in your face, no surprises, you know where things are going, you know what's coming in. Cool, fine. It's another thing to constantly go back to that every day or every week and check and change. And it's another thing to put yourself in these very strict and rigid limitations based on that budget that you created. And so that's when it can get to this point of being extreme and excessive and over the top. And honestly, that is another layer of stress in itself, is it not? So again, when you're thinking about what is the purpose of these budget sheets that you do, is it to help you organize your money in a way that allows you more freedom to work with your money? Or are you finding that it takes away some of your freedom? Are you finding that you get hung up on certain numbers and you feel unable to move? That's another sign that you're just surviving and not thriving. And another key thing here is heightened responses to conversations about money. If you're sitting there right now and you feel yourself getting hot, you feel yourself wondering who this woman is trying to tell you not to budget. If you find that you're having some sort of reaction to this, I would encourage you to explore that some more. Because having conversations about money are intended to help, right? But if there's a certain fear around money and financial security, then those conversations are not helpful to you. Those conversations don't feel helpful. They feel really uncomfortable. And that is another sign that you're surviving and not thriving, right? And to even go a little bit deeper, I mean, just as an example of this kind of full effect of what these different survival behaviors look like is, say you get a phone call and you know it's a bill collector, right? You see the phone call. You don't have the money right now, but you plan to pay it. So you ignore the phone call, right? And then they call again tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and the day after that. And you keep ignoring it. And in you ignoring it, you're finding that now your whole day, you're only thinking about that bill. Now you're finding that you can't do anything without your mind going back to that bill and that bill collector. Having, again, those responses, and again, having those thoughts that follow and contribute to the responses can put you in a state of being financially unwell, right? And not surviving and not thriving, and not thriving. So we want to definitely shift. We want to get you to a point where you're here and you move to here, if that's where you are, right? And if you're here already, kudos to you. You're doing great. And so some signs that you are doing great and that you are actually thriving, is to make sure that you're engaging in those planning and those organizing activities, but you're doing it in a way that's flexible. So flexible budgeting, right? Creating that budget, the monthly budget, the weekly budget, the yearly budget, whatever the budget is. Looking at the budget and, again, having it on paper, seeing it, see what you need to do, see where money is going, where it's coming from, but then also being flexible when you find that you may need to pull a little bit more from this pocket, or you maybe need to spend a little bit more in that area so that you can use more in this area. Giving yourself that grace and that space to make adjustments to your budget as you see fit, as you pay more attention to the day-to-day, the hourly stuff that happens. As you pay more attention, there may be times where you have to change some things, and allowing yourself to take that space and complete those tasks or complete whatever financial obligations need to be completed without feeling that guilt, that shame, that shoulda, coulda, woulda, that regret that comes, right? Giving yourself grace and space. Another thing that goes spot on with that is honoring your needs and your wants. There may be times where you want a little extra pick-me-up for the week. You maybe want to go hang out with somebody. It may require you to put some gas in your car. It may require you to eat out, get some takeout. Those are okay. And then on the other side of, if you find that, you've created a budget for spending and miscellaneous stuff, if you find that you maybe want to save some of that so that you can experience another type of experience later on down the line, you have the ability to do that because you're honoring yourself, you're honoring your needs and your wants, and you're also being flexible with yourself. And so ultimately that leads you to being more empowered to have open conversations about money, the third sign that you're thriving. Being open about conversations that relate to money. Not taking on any sort of attachment or label as it pertains to money. If you have $5 in your pocket one day and you find that you have zero the next day, does that mean something about you? Does that mean that you have 5 one day and you have zero the next day? Yes. Yes. And then work from there, right? But when we get into that realm of, beating ourselves up and ruminating and being heightened when money is mentioned, we know there that that's a tell sign that we're not living with that financial thriving mindset in mind. And so here now I get into this idea of mindset, right? Shift your mindset about money. Shift the way that you think about money. Shift your relationship with money so that it can match your lifestyle. And what that means is, let's bring it right back around to the theme of this month. What that means is getting closer to self, spending more time with yourself so that you become more aware of your lifestyle wants and needs. You may find that in your lifestyle, you may not need or you may not want a lot of extra material things. That could be something that you generally don't want or need, but you see other people having it and doing it, and you're like, oh, maybe I should be doing that too. Spend some time with yourself so that you can figure out what it is truly your needs and your wants, what it is that feeds that lifestyle, so that you can then in turn spend or save in accordance with that lifestyle, so that you're doing things, you're engaging in healthy financial behaviors that support your lifestyle. And so ultimately, I want to give you a different assignment today. Of course, we have our list going. We have our specific, unique self-care, personal care list. We're growing it. We're moving towards having a completed list of things that are personal to just us. So I would encourage you to look further into the ways that you're surviving with money. And then look further into the ways that you actually do thrive with money, right? And then another task is, how do you change your mindset with money? And so 2 questions I have. What is the purpose of your money? That's the first question. Ask yourself, what is the purpose of my money? Second question, how do I want to use it, right? What's the purpose of it? What is money? What is the purpose of money in my life? What is the function of money? And 2, how do I want to use this once I've come up with my own understanding of what money is and what it means to me? How do I use it? Use those questions to help build your healthy financial behaviors. Use that understanding, that deeper self-reflection, that increased self-awareness to help mold a flexible budget, to help mold a flexible financial plan, right? And in that plan, don't be scared to have those conversations. If you need help, ask. Ask a financial planner, ask an accountant, ask your friend, your colleague, your coworker, ask your friends, your parents, your neighbor. Hey, got a question. How do you handle your money? What do you mean? And start the conversation. I mean, this is about us helping each other as well as helping you ultimately at the end of the day. And if that means asking for assistance, then so be it. So I want to encourage you guys to get familiar with your finances, right? And don't be afraid. It's okay if you are afraid, but continue to work through that so that you can achieve that financial freedom that you want. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.